Hi there, I'm Danny from Firepole Marketing, and in this Naked Marketing Audit video, you're going to learn some really interesting things. You're going to learn about a very common trap that small business owners tend to fall into when they take their business online, and you're going to learn how to avoid it. You're also going to learn about how you can take organic, natural, word-of-mouth marketing and make it intentional, make it strategic by kind of jump-starting it to multiply the results. This video is part of the Naked Marketing Audit series, in which the marketing of existing businesses is analyzed and deconstructed, and it kind of showcases to you what they're doing really well and what they're doing maybe not as well. And all of that is for you to learn and be able to take those lessons and apply them in your own business. If you want to see the other videos in the series and understand the underlying framework behind it all, you should grab a copy of my Naked Marketing Manifesto. Just go to bit.ly/get-naked and grab your copy. It's completely free. You don't even have to opt in with a name or email address, and all the details are there. So go grab your copy, and in the meantime, let's dive into the audit video. Let's go right in.
Hi everyone. So we're here with Jen Brown, and we're going to do this naked marketing audit. Jen, tell us about your business. Tell us about what you do.
My business is called Sparta PT, and I work with endurance athletes, so triathletes and runners in particular, and I help them realize their potential. So I offer strength and conditioning training primarily on a face-to-face basis, but with a strong emphasis in building an online business as well.
Okay, so the first question in this audit process is, do you know who your ideal customer is? So maybe you can flesh that out for us. Tell us who you're trying to reach.
Okay, I'm trying to reach someone, male or female, aged 30 to 45, middle to upper class with some disposable income. Triathlon in particular is not a cheap sport to get into, and triathletes in particular love spending money on their sport. They're married with children. What else? They tend to, I find most of my clients, most of my target market, tends to come from an office, a white collar role type employment, or if they're from a blue collar industry, they tend to be higher up in management or even owning their businesses. So education then ranges from sort of, we'd call it TAFE here, and university. That's about it in terms of interests. They love hanging out with their friends and talking about their last race or their next race or their training. They love a laugh. My target market would be people who enjoy a laugh, don't take their sport or themselves too seriously. There is a reasonably large segment, particularly of the triathlon community, who are very serious about their sport, but they wouldn't really fit with what I do and my approach to the sport. And in terms of their fears, I think the biggest issue, leaving aside the desire for their kids' education and those sorts of fears, I think what keeps them awake at night in terms of their sport is often when an injury comes along, there is that sense of fear and panic and uncertainty as to whether they're going to have enough time to recover from the injury and then enough time to train for the event. Bear in mind that the races have a very specific day. It's not like a goal that the goalpost can't really get shifted very much, especially if it's their A race. They tend to be a race that maybe is only once a year, maybe twice a year. So there's no flexibility in terms of moving the goalpost. So that key date really determines how long they've got. So there can be sort of a sense of almost panic in terms of getting their preparation right once they've been injured.
Okay, so let me reflect back what I'm hearing. I mean, you're talking about people who they have some disposable time, they have some disposable income, they're doing work that is pretty rewarding, and they're not professional athletes in the sense of people who are, this is what they do day in, day out. They're not competing. It's not how they earn their living. They're not looking to go to the Olympics, but they do it for fun. It's something they enjoy, something they care about, and they care about it enough that it's a serious goal. And so missing that goal because of an injury is something that would be very frustrating. So tell me about what you're doing to get your ideal, or actually before we even jump into that, tell me about what is the value proposition to this ideal customer? I mean, what is the core promise that you're making to them that is hyper attractive to them?
I think the core promise is around confidence and security. I think it's the confidence in knowing that um, they have effectively dotted all their I's, crossed all their T's, that there are parts of their training programs that they've done, um, that they've taken steps to address any underlying weaknesses that they might have.
Hmm.
And then the security of knowing that they're getting the right sort of training, the stuff that their physio has been telling them they need to do each and every time they get injured. So it gives them the confidence and security of knowing that this time, hopefully, but this time is going to be the time it all comes together. I'm going to not get injured in the lead up to the event, and I'll get to that goal in the best shape I possibly can be.
So it's kind of the same promise as going to see a doctor for a routine physical or going to take your car for kind of a checkup at a mechanic's, right? It's about taking control of the uncertainty, what might go wrong, what could go wrong. It's like, no, I took care of this. I should be covered.
I think that's right on the nose actually, and also the not just what might happen, but what also has happened in the past. So
Hmm.
either they are training for an event at the moment, and there's a niggle or an injury starting to creep in, so they've sort of taken reactive steps then, or they're being proactive about it in terms of this time I'm going to do it right.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to do all the work, do everything I know I should be doing, but sometimes don't.
Okay,
Um,
so
and,
what I'm hearing is that it's usually reactive, whether it's, they're starting to have a pain right now or they've
mhm.
been injured in the past, but it sounds like it's rare for someone to have been training for years and, nothing's gone wrong and they're like, I think I should just have my bases covered. No, it's that, I don't want to get injured again.
Very true.
That's the feeling.
Yeah, that's true. That would
Okay.
be an accurate assessment of my target market and my actual client base at the moment, and myself, to be honest.
Well, there's an expression, "En chacham kebal nisayon." There's nobody who's wise like he who's already been down that path. So, so it totally makes sense.
Perfect.
Um, so let me ask you this: where are you finding these people, and how are you getting their attention? What is, they're high-income people. They're in busy lives. There are a lot of people kind of jumping around saying, look at me, I want your attention. Where are you going, and what are you doing for them to notice you?
I'm not. I haven't done anything today in an offline, real life environment, as I do a lot of my training outdoors, for example. So I don't have a fixed location or studio that I can target the surrounding areas. But apart from the website, regular blog updates, selected guest posting, uh, newsletter, which has been somewhat irregular
Hmm.
over the last 18 months, but slowly and surely I'm getting into a routine with that. I've also done some advertising within the local triathlon club.
Hmm.
I do know a lot of people within the local triathlon community, which is where most of my clients have come from, have initially been friends.
Hmm.
Um, then also within the local cycling community, so sort of more targeted um, advertising or associations with them.
Okay, so let's go through all these different things that you're doing. A website, a newsletter, they only help if you've got people coming to see them. So are you getting significant traffic to your website or to your blog?
My traffic has steadily increased. My website's been live now since January last year, so
Hmm.
18 months now. Around 600 to 700 unique visitors a month.
Okay.
Although last week I had my first what I consider a viral post, and I had about 1,000 visits in one day, so I was very excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And about 150 or so on Facebook. So not huge, but um, getting there.
And does a lot of traffic to your site convert into actual sales?
No, that's been one of the biggest challenges I've had, shall we say. I don't, despite all that traffic, engagement on the site is quite low. It only tends to be a few epic shit posts, to use Corbett's classic phrase, that have really captured people and caused them to comment. But engagement on Facebook is high,
Hmm.
much higher than on the website itself.
Okay. What's the geographic spread of your audience base? I mean, you're offering
Um,
a very local kind of service, right? And the
I
challenge with,
am,
online traffic and posts going viral and stuff is that a lot of it can often be from all over the world.
yes, and that certainly has proved to be the case. Um, I think most of my face-to-face clients obviously are local, but more than a lot more of my traffic comes obviously from elsewhere, which is why I've dabbled in online delivery
Hmm.
methods. Not too successfully, but it's a work in progress, and that's certainly where to take a lot more of my focus is converting visitors into uh, subscribers, and then obviously into some online program.
Okay, and why is that?
A number of reasons. I'm just outside Sydney in Australia, but it is a suburb about an hour from Sydney.
Hmm.
Um, so it's an area where my face-to-face clientele is limited. People don't tend to travel a lot out here for their training. So I'm really limited to people who participate in these sports within this region. It's not a small region, but it's not a grand city size scale
Hmm.
either. It is also a demographically challenged area, shall we say. Average incomes are lower than various other parts of Sydney. So taking it online was both something that I've really enjoyed doing, playing online and working with the blog and building programs, but also a way to overcome those other challenges that my face-to-face business has.
Okay. Um, well, here's what I'm hearing, and here's what I'm thinking as I hear you articulate all this. Um, your offline business and your online business are potentially very different businesses.
Mm.
Offline, face to face, you're working with people in person, whereas online, it's remote, it's possibly pre recorded. You just can't, when someone's doing a motion in person, you can adjust, you can correct, and you just don't have that kind of option remotely. And so, this is something I see people do quite a lot is where they have an offline business and they're like, I just want to get some online clients to expand my customer base. In some cases, that's totally doable. In some
Mm-hmm.
cases, it requires a slight adjustment. In other cases, it's a completely different business, which is not to say it can't be done, but it's a totally business. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it might be worth exploring, since this is really a different kind of business, do all the same foundations make sense? Are you targeting the same people? Are the same people who you're trying to reach? What are you going to offer them? Because your offline service can't be offered easily remotely unless there's a very innovative way of delivering it. I don't know, hollow technology that allows you to kind of project yourself, I don't know what, it's going to be very hard to deliver this kind of service remotely. So think about what package and deliver remotely that would be of great value, but since it's different,
Hmm.
it's quite possibly going to be targeting a different audience. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, yeah. I had, I have done and I have two facets to the online business that I've explored, and one is the simple, almost I call it online training. Effectively, it would be more like a consultation process, so
Hmm.
weekly Skype calls um, with a written training program, email support, that type of thing. And then earlier this year, I launched a specific 6-week training program, pre-recorded videos, Skype consultations, a much more structured program. Interestingly, with that one, most of my sales did come from overseas for me, um, America and Europe in particular, which was a big surprise. So I definitely think I need to explore the question around where the target market of
Hmm.
it is different for overseas for the for the online component. That's not something I'd thought of before.
It's really worth exploring because you might find that as long as you've got this picture of your current ideal customer for your offline business in mind, excuse me, you're going to be trying to create product and content and offers that fit them and kind of trying to
Mm-hmm.
shoehorn them into this content or this format that may or may not make sense. I mean, the simple fact that they're high earning, they're doing really well, they're doing this for fun. I would imagine a big part of the appeal is that it's face to face. They enjoy the interaction. They're willing to pay what it costs. And when you take away the face to face, you adjust the cost structures to what would make sense online and what you can afford to do by virtue of the remote environment. It might change the value proposition quite significantly. So you
Mm.
might be holding yourself back by trying to speak to that same person. You might want to find a different customer for your online business. So
Okay.
let's talk about your offline business. You mentioned that you're advertising in venues for triathletes, for cyclists, and that's been doing very well for you. So maybe what you can share with us now is the process of escalation and reward, commitment and reward that goes from seeing the ad straight through to that, making the purchase, to pulling out their wallets and paying you for something. What does
Mm-hmm.
that process look like right now?
At the moment, it is a quite organic process, dare I say it. Um, Generally, it looks like an inquiry. More often than not, it's actually face to face. So I will be at a triathlon or having coffee with a friend or whatever it might be, and someone will say, "Oh, Jen, I've been meaning to speak to you. The last few months I've been meaning to say something to you." So they'll say something along those lines, and then I do a group training session out here, which is getting more popular. So quite often my inquiries about that. What do you do in the group session? I've really thought about coming to it. Do you have spots, that sort of thing. And from there, it's just a conversation back and forward, finding out about what they need, what injuries they've had in the past, what suits them. And then they come along to a group session one day and have as much fun as the rest of us do. Um, from that point, for most people, it tends to stay at the group sessions. My group sessions are more popular than the one-on-one training.
Hmm.
Um, but then there have been a couple of cases where people have escalated it. They've taken the intent or initiative. And so people who have participated in a group session have come to me and said, "I've really loved doing it. I'd like to work with you on a one-on-one basis."
Okay.
So that progression is organic. And as soon as you asked me the question, I realized I've never asked or made that approach
So
myself.
how does the advertising fit in though? Because you mentioned advertising. Are you getting leads from that? Is that converting to sales or is it all organic word of mouth?
The advertising, the cycling club advertising has not converted to sales. It converts to website visitors, but not to sales. Within the triathlon club, that has converted to people coming along to inquiries, and then to people joining my group session.
Okay.
I don't believe anyone's. There'd be one person I can think of who would have followed that process from advertising within the triathlon club to group sessions onto one-on-one training.
Okay. So here's what I am hearing. You've got the ads that are kind of creating a general awareness and interest, and you've got general word of mouth, people talking, they know you, that you do. Again, this general awareness. Sometimes organically that converts into an inquiry of some kind. You know, people will reach out and ask you a question, or they're in person. It's like, Jen, I've been meaning to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, that'll turn into often they'll show up at a group session that might convert to one-on-one. So what if you could systematize that process a little bit more? What if, for example, you did a free workshop every 3 months or 2 months or 1 month or whatever the interval you find that is appropriate. And that is what you advertise in the promotions. They don't just come check out your website and leave, but it's like, you know, there's this free workshop. You're welcome to come, have your questions answered, learn a few exercises, whatever is the right lead into this. You might find your conversion rates to this free workshop are higher because people, you know, they're willing to give it a shot. And once they're there in person, it's much easier for them to escalate to try your group program, for example. And likewise with people who are in your network, it's very easy to just put out an email to all your contacts saying, by the way, I'm doing this group workshop for free. It's happening, you know, next weekend. Feel free to drop by if you're interested, and I'll be happy to show you some stuff, answer your questions. That might take, because for every person who comes to you and says, Jen, I've been meaning to ask you, there's
Mm.
probably 3 other people who were meaning to ask you but just didn't.
Mm.
And so you could,
I wouldn't be surprised. It's quite often I get, or people will put a comment on Facebook, for example, and say, "Oh, Jen, you know, have you got room in your group sessions?" Blah blah blah. And then I've noticed people sort of tack on,
like,
and
oh
it's
yeah, I should have thought about that.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
So you should just be proactive and kind of jumpstart that natural, organic word of mouth interaction process.
Okay, that's
And
a
I
great
think
idea.
so. These are my 2 takeaways for you today. I mean, I think in terms of the offline versus online business, recognize that they're distinct businesses. They're targeting different people, and formulate that online business from the ground up in terms of who you're targeting and what you're going to offer them. And
Mm-hmm.
for your offline business, try to jumpstart that process. Try to give people a nudge to get that first inquiry, get that first bit of information, make it easier for them to take that first step, because you've got a process that gets them up through the rest of that process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to ask you one last question before we wrap up. You've been in business for quite a while now. You mentioned the website is a year and a half old, and your business, I think, is you've been doing this for a longer time than that. Um, I'm sure you've learned a lot of really valuable stuff along the way. What is something that, if you could kind of rewind, go back a year and a half, tell Jen of a year and a half ago, it's like, look, you should learn this now because it's cheaper to learn this now than to learn it later. What one thing would you tell Jen of a year and a half ago as something that she could learn and do better, and that hopefully the people watching this video can also learn and do better?
I would say let go of the need to be a perfectionist, and just launch the damn thing. I was a lawyer before I became a personal trainer, and so dotting the I's, crossing the T's is what I do best. So I really felt the need to have everything perfect before I put out the word I was training people or launch the website. But I had a very good friend who sat me down one day and said, Jen, you just have to launch this website. And made me set a date and held me to it. And that's something, it's still something I struggle with. It's still something I'm a work in progress, let me say that. But in terms of making it good and something that you're prepared to stand by, but letting go of that need to absolutely just have it perfection. Perfection is the biggest roadblock, I think, that I've come across so far.
So perfect advice from an athletic coach. It's basically Nike's slogan, which is, just do it.
Let's do it. Exactly.
Awesome. This has been great. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I want to encourage everyone who's watching this video, if you fall into Jen's target market, if you are someone who is a serious athlete but does it for fun and seriously enjoys it, if you're located in or around Sydney, then reach out to Jen and see what she can do for you. If you're located anywhere else in the world, then check out her website, enjoy some of her content that has gone very viral lately, and shoot her an email and say, I kind of like this, I don't like that, and help inform who her target customer might be, because it just might be you. So thank you all very much, and yeah, that's it.
And there you have it, a behind-the-scenes look at the marketing of Jen Brown's business. I want to remind you that this video is part of the Naked Marketing Audit series. There are a bunch of videos in the series, and I'd love to share them all with you. If you'd like to see them, grab a copy of my Naked Marketing Manifesto. Go to bit.ly/get-naked and grab your copy. You don't even need to opt in with a name or email address. So go grab it, check out all the videos in the series, and I hope you've gotten as much out of this video as I have. I had a great time making it. And I look forward to sharing the rest with you, and I want to wish you the best of continued success with your business.
Offer conditioning training, primarily on a face-to-face basis, but with a strong emphasis in building an online business as well.
Okay, so the first question in this audit process is, do you know who your ideal customer is? So maybe you can flesh that out for us. Tell us who you're trying to reach.
Okay, I'm trying to reach someone, male or female, aged 30 to 45, middle to upper class with some disposable income. Triathlon in particular is not a cheap sport to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And biathletes in particular love spending money on their sport. They're married with children. What else? They tend to, I find most of my clients, most of my target market, tends to come from an office, a white collar role type employment, or if they're from a blue collar industry, they tend to be higher up in management or even owning their businesses. So education then ranges from sort of, we'd call it TAFE here, and university.
If you want to see the other videos in the series and understand the underlying framework behind it all, you should grab a copy of my Naked Marketing Manifesto. Just go to bit.ly/get-naked and grab your copy. It's completely free. You don't even have to opt in with a name or email address, and all the details are there. So go grab your copy, and in the meantime, let's dive into the audit video. Let's go right in.
Hi everyone. So we're here with Jen Brown, and we're going to do this naked marketing audit. Jen, tell us about your business. Tell us about what you do.
My business is called Sparta PT, and I work with endurance athletes, so triathletes and runners in particular, and I help them realize their potential. So
Hi there, I'm Danny from Firepole Marketing, and in this Naked Marketing Audit video, you're going to learn some really interesting things. You're going to learn about a very common trap that small business owners tend to fall into when they take their business online, and you're going to learn how to avoid it. You're also going to learn about how you can take organic, natural, word-of-mouth marketing and make it intentional, make it strategic by kind of jump-starting it to multiply the results. This video is part of the Naked Marketing Audit series, in which the marketing of existing businesses is analyzed and deconstructed, and it kind of showcases to you what they're doing really well and what they're doing maybe not as well. And all of that is for you to learn and be able to take those lessons and apply them in your own business.
that's about it in terms of interests. They love hanging out with their friends and talking about their last race or their next race or their training. They love a laugh. My target market would be people who enjoy a laugh, don't take their sport or themselves too seriously. There is a reasonably large segment, particularly of the triathlon community, who are very serious about their sport, but they wouldn't really fit with what I do and my approach to the sport. And in terms of their fears,